Hi everyone, this is Pulkit from Chameleon, and in this video we're going to be talking about one of the most important and fundamental concepts that helps improve user onboarding, and that's the aha moment. What is it, why it's important, how to use it, so that's what we're going to be covering. What is the aha moment? Well, it's also known as the wow moment, or sometimes referred to as the time to wow or the time to first value, but it's in the name. It's when the user thinks, aha, I get it, or wow, this is amazing. It's when they recognize and internalize the value of what you're showing them. And it can be at the start of a product journey. It can be when you launch a new feature. It can be any point where you want a user to get the value such that they become more engaged and they continue using the product. So why is it important? Well, we all know that first-time user experience is really critical in long-term engagement. Stats have shown that improvements in the first 5 minutes of a user's experience can drive up to an increase of 50% in their lifetime value. It's because that's when they're assessing and judging. They've already added some effort into trying your product out, and so they really need to get the value back. And so taking them to that aha moment, to that value, is really critical for them to stay engaged. A couple of examples. So Trello, one of my favorite products, is a really good example of them delivering the aha moment to a user. Their key value proposition is around being able to organize your projects really easily. It's very visual. And so when a user signs up and gets going, they get a user to take those actions and move cards between lists, to add action items as cards. And it's very easy. And the user gets to grips very quickly with what the value of Trello is. And they like it and they'll stay engaged. That's an example. So it's important for you to think about what is the aha for your product, because that's what's going to help you drive new user retention. So let's think about how to find the aha moment. So initially you want to start with the hypothesis. We're going to take a hypothesis-driven approach. That means we're not going to go and try every idea out. We're going to start with the strongest idea and then test that. So this hypothesis can come from what you already state as your value proposition. So on your marketing site, you might say, hey, we're really good at X, or we really let you do Y, and start with that. If you don't really know that, you can ask your existing customers, maybe new customers from the last 3 months, what let them stay on, what was the thing that they liked the most. You can basically ask them specifically, what point did you decide that they wanted to use the product? So you can get some information from that. Otherwise, you can run some user tests, not from your current customers, but some random prospects or random testers. You can watch as they start to use your product and look for the expressions where they find value, where they get excited, where they see delight. And then ask them afterwards, at what point did you really understand what we were trying to do, and at what point did you feel like product was valuable? You can also look at competitors, see what their messaging is about, what they're claiming as their value. So in that way, you can basically hypothesize and get to what you think is the strongest idea of an aha moment, and make it very specific. It has to be a very specific, tangible user action, and that's how they get the aha. So you've got your hypothesis. Now you really want to assess, is this the real aha moment? And if I get more people to get to this point, does it mean that I'll have more engaged and retained users? Doesn't mean I'm going to deliver more value. So this is how to do that. Firstly, you want to validate the aha moment. And so to validate it, you want to assess if there's a correlation between people who get to the aha moment and those that stay engaged with your product. So the way to do this is to look at the data and say, okay, well, hopefully you're tracking that as an event. If you're not, you can either skip this step, or you can begin tracking it and then do the analysis afterwards. But if you can track, well, of all the people that got to the aha moment event, what was their retention compared to the retention of everyone else, and you can see a clear lift of people that got to the aha moment and then were retained, you can conceivably say that this was a factor, or this was at least correlated with strong retention. So once you've kind of demonstrated that, then what you can do is you can start to think about the causation. If I get more people to this moment, does it mean that they're going to stay, or is it just a correlation where some other factor is influencing both of these things? And to demonstrate causation, what you have to do is run a test. So ideally you run an A/B test. You'll have a control group, and then you have a test group, and with that test group you'll try to get more people to the aha moment. And then you'll measure between the control and the test What was the retention? And if you get more people to the aha moment and you see that their retention increases compared to the control group, you know that that's a causation. And if it's a causation relationship, you've got a very clear goal for your onboarding. You know that this is the thing that you want to drive users to because you're confident that if they get there, they find value, they stick around. If you can't do an A/B test, you haven't got enough people coming through, you can do a serial test, which basically means just change one thing and then see how that compares with your historical data. Changing stuff in product is hard, we get it. That's why we've built Chameleon. You can use Chameleon to quite easily and quickly start to test some of these things. You can launch an in-product tour or a prompt or a question without writing any code. So that's one way to do it, but you can also utilize other channels. You can send an email to people to try and get them to aha. You can run webinars, but you can do it in a variety of ways. But it's really important that you think about what is your aha moment, because that will help you drive your goal for onboarding. And without a goal, it's going to be hard to succeed and hard to demonstrate improvement. So that's the aha moment. That are really good to know about and think about. We have more content about the aha moment and about user onboarding on our blog. Head over to www.trychameleon.com/blog. If you like this video, if you think other people should know about it, please like it or share it. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.